The Kari had never known war. Their world, Suraya, was peaceful, green, and quiet. For thousands of years, their people studied the stars, wrote songs to the moons, and traded knowledge with neighboring systems. They had no army, no weapons, and no reason to fear until the sky cracked open. It started with one moon ripped in half by something invisible. Then the second moon melted, its core burning with strange artificial heat. Within hours, Kari satellites were destroyed. There, orbiting space stations pulled apart, and communication relays crushed as if by unseen hands. The Kari did the only thing they could. They sent a signal. It was old tech, a deep space emergency burst meant to reach trusted allies light years away. The message was short. We are under attack. We have no defense. Please, help us. The signal was aimed at the Galactic Council, at peaceful civilizations who would send aid, medicine, shelter. But the signal didn't reach them. It went further deparent, till it fell into the hands of the one world no one expected to answer, Earth. Earth was known only through whispers in Kari libraries. A death world, hostile, violent, unstable. The Kari called it a place of storms and survival, where creatures fought gravity itself, and intelligent life learned war before language. Earth was not part of the council. It had refused diplomacy. No Kari ship had ever dared visit. But somehow, Earth caught the signal. And Earth responded. The message landed in a secure receiver at Luna Outpost 7, monitored by Earth's Deathworld Defense Command. It was picked up by Commander Elias Reyes, leader of the 3rd Human Expeditionary Fleet. His team decrypted the signal. In minutes, a species requesting urgent help, civilian structures destroyed, orbital strikes ongoing, coordinates attached. He read it twice, then once more. There was no mention of enemies, no declaration of war, a cry for mercy. Reyes leaned back in his chair and said nothing for a long time. The officers around him waited. Finally, he stood. Scramble the fleet. Full combat loadout. Tell the ground forces to prep drop units. We launch in 6 hours. A junior officer looked confused. Sir, the signal doesn't mention a war. They might just need rescue or supplies. Reyes stared at the glowing star map. They don't know it yet, he said, but they're already at war. If we're the first ones to get this signal, then whoever hit them didn't want help. Coming. He tapped the data slate hard. We'll give them help, just not the kind they expected. 6 hours later, Earth's answer shot through space like a blade. Full Deathworlder fleeted ships with black armor, each one shaped like a predator. These weren't peace vessels. They were fast, silent, and armed to the teeth. The lead ship, S. Blackthorn, carried Reyes himself and 2 battalions of ground troops bred for hostile environments. They didn't bring doctors. They brought recon, weapons, drones, and drop pods. Because Earth had learned something long ago. When people cry for help, sometimes they don't know what's really coming for them. Sometimes only fire can answer. On Suraya, the Kari survivors gathered inside underground sanctuaries, waiting, watching the sky. Strange storms circled the upper atmosphere. No magnetic pulses, static lightning, unnatural clouds. They didn't know who had attacked them or why. All they knew was that their signal had been sent. They prayed someone kind would answer. They didn't see the Earth fleet arrive. There was no welcome, no announcement. The ships came in cloaked, fast, and invisible to local tech. Reyes gave strict orders no contact until they secured visual on the threat. He believed in precision, not diplomacy. So the fleet entered orbit in total silence. In the command deck of the Blackthorn, Reyes stood over a live feed image. The upper skies around Suraya were changing, not naturally. Something artificial was interfering with gravity and light. Not weather, Juno Vega, the fleet's science officer, said. This storm's engineered. Someone's hiding something up there. Eris narrowed his eyes. Start scans. Find the source. Deploy stealth drones. I want to see who's playing God with this planet. Within minutes, the drones spotted it just past the second moon's remains. Something massive floated in the shadow. It looked like a ship, but it didn't move. It was coated in black plates, absorbing light like a void. No symbols, no markings. And it pulsed faintly, like it was alive, not council tech, Vega confirmed. No known species uses this design. It's alien to the galaxy's records. Reyes leaned closer, or older than the records. He made his choice. Ready the drop pods, he said. We're going in. Meanwhile, deep in the ruins of a Kari observatory, a young Kari named Lyra stood on a broken platform, staring up at the swirling sky. Her people were healers, not fighters. But even she knew something was coming, something that didn't feel soft or peaceful. The wind smelled strange, like metal and thunder. She turned to her elder. Did someone answer our call? The elder closed his eyes, listening to the wind. Then he opened them slowly and said, Yes, but I don't think they're here to talk. Above them, fire split the sky. Drop pods screamed through the clouds like falling stars. And Earth finally landed. The Kari had never seen anything fall from the sky that fast, that bright, or that full of fury. To them, the drop pods looked like meteors screaming. White-hot streaks that tore through the swirling clouds and shook the mountains when they landed. Where once stood quiet meadows and broken observatories, now rose columns of dust and fire. Animals fled. Trees cracked from the shock waves. And those Kari who dared peek from shelters could only whisper one word: warriors. But these were not warriors in shining armor. They were Deathworlders, built for pain, made for chaos, trained to walk through hell without blinking. Commander Reyes was the first to step from his pod. Black armor steaming, boots crunching against burned soil. Around him, Earth's troops moved in perfect rhythm, scanning the perimeter, scanning the air, unloading recon drones. There were no war cries, no flags, just quiet, efficient movement like a machine that never stopped working. The Kari watched. From the hills, afraid to come closer, thermal scan complete, Juno Vega said, adjusting her visor. No heat traces in this zone. The Kari civilians are in underground shelters. No threats nearby. Yet, Reyes looked up at the clouds. The real threat isn't on the ground. It's in orbit. He tapped his comm. What's the update on the sky weapon? Sorry. Monitoring from the Blackthorn in orbit replied, still cloaked, still pulsing. But it's moving now. Slow orbit decay. It's preparing something. One of the gunners on Ground Team Bravo grinned. Maybe it wants to shake. Our hand, more like swat us, Reyes replied. Let's swat first. He turned to Vega. I want eyes on that black structure. Far above, the strange alien object continued to pulse. It was not a ship in the traditional sense. It had no windows, no bridge. It was more like a sentient weapon built by something or someone not yet seen. It had received the Kari's distress signal too, but unlike Earth, it didn't come to help. It came to harvest. As Reyes led his team toward the ridge, Lyra, the young Kari girl who had watched the pods fall, moved silently through the forest, following the humans from a distance. She carried no weapon. Just an old data crystal one that had recorded the Kari's original signal. She had to know who answered their call. Were these strange beings truly here to save them? She got her answer faster than expected. One of the humans stopped suddenly. Armored, visored down. But somehow, he knew she was there. He didn't point a weapon, just turned his head slightly and spoke. You've been following us for 15 minutes. Come out. Lyra froze. Another human stepped forward. A woman, smaller, slower, but her voice was calm. It's okay. We saw you 3 minutes ago. Lyra stepped into view, shaking slightly. You're not Council. You're not. Kari, what are you? Tall one. Reyes looked at her through his helmet. We're from Earth. She blinked. The Death World. Yeah, Reyes said. But we're not here to kill you. We're here because you asked for help. She clutched the data crystal tighter. We didn't ask for warriors. Reyes looked past her toward the sky that still burned with strange colors. No, he said. But warriors are what you needed. Hours later, Reyes and his team reached the impact crater of the second moon's destruction. There they found it black shards of an unknown alloy, still humming with energy. Vega knelt beside one. "This isn't a weapon," she said. "It's a signal amplifier. Whoever built this didn't just hear the Kari distress call. They boosted it. Lured us in." Lex frowned. "Lured us?" Sari's voice came over the "Comes urgent." "Confirmed. We cracked the pulse patterns. It's not just orbit decay. That object in space is a bait trap. It's waiting for more." Reyes froze. "More of us?" "No," Sari said. "More signals like the Kari's. It's drawing out every helpless world. It hears the cries, then strikes." Reyes clenched his fists. This wasn't a rescue mission. It was a test. Juno stood up slowly. They wanted to see what kind of threat would show up. And now they know. Then the sky shifted. The pulsing object in orbit stopped spinning, and a bright red beam sliced through the clouds. Not as an attack, but as scant targeting the Deathworlder position on the surface. "They see us," Vega whispered. Reyes didn't flinch. "Good." He raised his arm and triggered his comm. "Call in the gunships. If they want to see what Deathworlders can do, let's show them." Above, the Blackthorn opened its launch bays. 2 gunships roared toward the planet, engines glowing blue and angry. The humans weren't coming quietly. They weren't diplomats. They were Earth's answer to extinction, and far across the stars. Somewhere deep and hidden, a new signal lit up. It had watched the car. It had watched Earth. And now it knew the truth. Humanity is not just dangerous. Humanity answers cries with fire, adjusts tactics, prepare retaliation, because Earth had stepped into a trap. But Earth didn't walk into traps unarmed. They walked in ready to burn the trap to the ground. The sky was bleeding light. Above the green hills of Soraya, the strange machine in orbit had begun its transformation. It was no longer a quiet, pulsing object hidden in shadow. Now it opened layer by layer into something vast and terrible. Wings of black metal spread like blades, rotating around a core that hummed with energy. Lightning danced between the arms. Below it, Kari survivors trembled in fear. And above them, humanity prepared to strike back. From orbit, Sari stared. At the screen inside the Blackthorn, "We've confirmed its structure. That thing isn't just a signal amplifier. It's a collector built to draw in intelligent responses, then erase the evidence." Reyes's voice came back through the comms. "Erase what kind of evidence?" "Juno?" Vega answered, from the ground. "Us. Anyone who answers the signal." The trap was clear now. The weapon hadn't been aimed at the Kari. Not directly. They were the bait. Soft, peaceful, helpless, a perfect lure. The true target was whoever came to help. And now, the Deathworlders had arrived. But they weren't prey. They were predators. Reyes stood at the edge of a ridge, watching as the sky machine powered up its core. His helmet's HUD flashed warnings, radiation spikes, magnetic shifts, unknown. Energy signatures. "Time's up," he said. "We hit it now, or we never hit it at all." Juno nodded. "We have a narrow window. Once the core charges, it'll release a planetary-level white pulse. Everything electron, including us. Then we go analog," Reyes said. Lex grinned. "Finally, my kind of party." Earth's team had planned for worst-case scenarios. Deep space missions meant unpredictable threats. So their drop pods had hidden payloads, compact railguns, hardsuit exoskeletons, and low-tech combat gear immune to electronic failure. The kind of weapons Deathworlders loved. Simple, brutal, unstoppable. "Gunships are 5 minutes out," Sari said. "They'll clear the way to the launch corridor." "Understood," Reyes replied. "Vega, you and Lex move on the uplink nodes. Sever its comms, I'll take the core." "And me?" asked Lyra, the Kari girl, standing near Reyes with her crystal still clutched tight. He turned to her. "You get your people ready to run. Because this whole valley might light up like a sun, high above." The machine turned its attention downward. It had calculated the Deathworlders' odds of success. It found them unacceptable, so it deployed guardians. The air shimmered, then split. From the clouds came long, needle-like constructs, shaped like daggers and wrapped in red energy. 10, 20. Then over 100 they didn't fly. They sliced. Like arrows fired by a god, Juno saw them first. Incoming, Rhea shouted. Defensive grid now. Drones launched into the air, forming a spinning net of pulse, rounds, and smoke. But the enemy didn't care for smoke. They moved through it with perfect coordination. These weren't machines, they were hunters, designed to analyze and adapt. And they had never fought humans before. Lex raised his heavy cannon and fired straight into the swarm. Come on, you mechanical worms. Explosions lit the sky. Reyes led the charge downhill, firing short bursts and dodging plasma beams. The Earth. Troops didn't run. They didn't scatter. They advanced. Because Deathworlders weren't built to hide. They were built to break things. At the base of the old Kari Observatory, the machine's first uplink node was revealed, spinning and glowing, buried beneath. The ruins. Vega and Lex reached it, setting charges while fending off drones. Sparks flew. Lex's armor hissed with a fresh scorch mark. 10 more seconds, Vega shouted. Give me 5 and I'll take out 20. Lex replied, unloading another round. The node exploded with a blinding flash. All nearby drones paused, stuttered, then fell from the air like insects losing their wings. Reyes received the signal. One node down. Move to the second. Vega coughed into her mic. We've got a problem. Go. There's no second uplink. Silence. She continued. The second node isn't on the planet. It's part of the sky machine. It's projecting signal control from orbit. Reyes cursed. We'll never reach it from here. Lyra stepped forward. I have the signal crystal. It's linked to the same frequency. Maybe I can scramble it. Vega hesitated. We don't know what happens if you do. Lyra held up the glowing crystal. We sent the call. Brought. You here, let me help finish it. Reyes nodded. Do it. She placed the crystal on a flat stone, then pressed her fingers to the side. A tone began to hum quiet, steady, and rising. The air shifted. The sky machine paused its rotation. Its energy field flickered. The trap was broken, and the blade had lost its target. From above, Sari called out. The weapon shield is... Down, Reyes shouted. Gunships hit the core. The Blackthorn support ships streaked through the upper atmosphere, firing rail rounds that glowed orange hot. They hit the machine's center again. Again. Then one round cracked, opened the core, and the whole thing. It's detonated, not in an explosion, but in a wave, like sound in space, like a scream. The Akari fell to their knees as the sky turned white. The drones fell from the air, lifeless. The black metal structure burned from the inside, unraveling as if rejecting itself. The beam of light that once threatened to erase the planet now split in all directions, harmless. Fading, the trap had snapped shut. But not on Earth, on the ones who set it. Rhea stood in the smoking valley, breathing hard, armor scarred. Around him, Earth soldiers reloaded, reset. Ready for the next move? Lyra stared at the dying sky and whispered, You came from a death world, but you saved a peaceful one. Reyes looked up, eyes cold. Next time someone sends a signal, like yours, they'll think twice. Because now, the galaxy knew, if you cry for help, Earth might hear you, and when Earth comes, ... they don't come with peace offerings. They come with fire. The sky was bleeding light. Above the green hills of Soraya, the strange machine in orbit had begun its transformation. It was no longer a quiet, pulsing object hidden in shadow. Now it opened layer by layer into something vast and terrible. Wings of black metal spread like blades, rotating around a core that hummed with energy. Lightning danced between the arms. Below it, Kari survivors trembled in fear. And above them, humanity prepared to strike back. From orbit, Sari stared. At the screen inside the Blackthorn, We've confirmed its structure. That thing isn't just a signal amplifier. It's a collector built to draw in intelligent responses, then erase the evidence. Reyes's voice came back through the coms. Erase what kind of evidence? Juno? Vega answered, from the ground. Us. Anyone who answers the signal. The trap was clear now. The weapon hadn't been aimed at the Kari. Not directly. They were the bait. Soft, peaceful, helpless, a perfect lure. The true target was whoever came to help. And now, the Deathworlders had arrived. But they weren't prey. They were predators. Reyes stood at the edge of a ridge, watching as the sky machine powered up its core. His helmet's HUD flashed warnings, radiation spikes, magnetic shifts, unknown. Energy signatures. Time's up, he said. We hit it now, or we never hit it at all. Juno nodded. We have a narrow window. Once the core charges, it'll release a planetary-level white pulse. Everything electronic, including us. Then we go analog, Reyes said. Lex grinned. Finally, my kind of party. Earth's team had planned for worst-case scenarios. Deep space missions meant unpredictable threats. So their drop pods had hidden payloads, compact railguns, hardsuit exoskeletons, and low-tech combat gear immune to electronic failure. The kind of weapons Deathworlders loved. Simple, brutal, unstoppable. Gunships are 5 minutes out, Sari said. They'll clear the way to the launch corridor. Understood, Reyes replied. Vega, you and Lex move on the uplink nodes. Sever its coms, I'll take the core. And me, asked Lyra, the Kari girl, standing near Reyes with her crystal still clutched tight. He turned to her. You get your people ready to run. Because this whole valley might light up like a sun, high above. The machine turned its attention downward. It had calculated the Deathworlders' odds of success. It found them unacceptable, so it deployed guardians. The air shimmered, then split. From the clouds came long, needle-like constructs, shaped like daggers and wrapped in red energy. 10, 20. Then over 100, they didn't fly. They sliced. Like arrows fired by a god, Juno saw them first. Incoming, Reyes shouted. Defensive grid now. Drones launched into the air, forming a spinning net of pulse, rounds, and smoke. But the enemy didn't care for smoke. They moved through it with perfect coordination. These weren't machines, they were hunters, designed to analyze and adapt. And they had never fought humans before. Lex raised his heavy cannon and fired straight into the swarm. Come on, you mechanical worms. Explosions lit the sky. Reyes led the charge downhill, firing short bursts and dodging plasma beams. The Earth. Troops didn't run. They didn't scatter. They advanced. Because Deathworlders weren't built to hide. They were built to break things. At the base of the old Kari Observatory, the machine's first uplink node was revealed, spinning and glowing, buried beneath. The ruins. Vega and Lex reached it, setting charges while fending off drones. Sparks flew. Lex's armor hissed with a fresh scorch mark. 10 more seconds, Vega shouted. Give me 5 and I'll take out 20. Lex replied, unloading another round. The node exploded with a blinding flash. All nearby drones paused, stuttered, then fell from the air like insects losing their wings. Reyes received the signal. 1 node down. Move to the second. Vega coughed into her mic. We've got a problem. Go. There's no second uplink. Silence. She continued. The second node isn't on the planet. It's part of the sky machine. It's projecting signal control from orbit. Reyes cursed. We'll never reach it from here. Lyra stepped forward. I have the signal crystal. It's linked to the same frequency. Maybe I can scramble it. Vega hesitated. We don't know what happens if you do. Lyra held up the glowing crystal. We sent the call. Brought. You hear? Let me help finish it. Reyes nodded. Do it. She placed the crystal on a flat stone, then pressed her fingers to the side. A tone began to hum quiet, steady, and rising. The air shifted. The sky machine paused its rotation. Its energy field flickered. The trap was broken, and the blade had lost its target. From above, Sari called out. The weapon shield is down, Reyes shouted. Gunships hit the core. The Blackthorn's support ships streaked through the upper atmosphere, firing rail rounds that glowed orange hot. They hit the machine's center again. Again. Then one round cracked, opened the core, and the whole thing detonated, not in an explosion, but in a wave, like sound in space, like a scream. The Akari fell to their knees as the sky turned white. The drones fell from the air, lifeless. The black metal structure burned from the inside, unraveling as if rejecting itself. The beam of light that once threatened to erase the planet now split in all directions, harmless. Fading, the trap had snapped shut. But not on Earth, on the ones who set it. Reyes stood in the smoking valley, breathing hard, armor scarred. Around him, Earth soldiers reloaded, reset, ready for the next move. Lyra stared at the dying sky and whispered, "You came from a death world, but you saved a peaceful one." Reyes looked up, eyes cold. "Next time someone sends a signal, like yours, they'll think twice. Because now, the galaxy knew, if you cry for help, Earth might hear you, and when Earth comes, ... they don't come with peace offerings. They come with fire." The wreckage of the orbital machine burned in silence. Debris rained down like metal snow, glowing in the upper atmosphere as Earth's gunships pulled back. The sky was scarred, now lit by lines of wreckage and fading pulses of light. But Soraya was still alive. Kari, though frightened and shaken, had survived. Earth had made sure of that, but Reyes knew this wasn't over. Back aboard the Blackthorn, deep scans were already painting a new picture, one far more dangerous than anything they'd faced so far. Sari stood by the main console, arms crossed, voice tight with tension. "Commander, we've recovered partial memory fragments from the destroyed satellite. We think we've found something worse." Reyes approached the display. "What kind of worse?" "Sorry." Tapped a control. A hologram shimmered into view, blueprints of a signal array far larger than anything Soraya had ever known. It stretched. Across systems, artificial wormholes, deep core beacons, automated response networks. This wasn't the only trap, Sari said. It was part of a net. The fragments showed multiple planets, small, peaceful civilizations, just like the Kari, all marked with signal bait active tags, all awaiting contact. Each one wired into the same ancient, galaxy-spanning structure. Someone or something was building these traps everywhere. Juno Vega stepped forward from the science wing, her face pale. "Commander, these aren't random attacks. This is a harvesting system."
Right.
"Responders," Vega said. "Any race advanced enough to respond to a cry for help. It lures the brave. It studies them. It eliminates threats before they grow too strong. Or it copies them," Sari added. It may be learning how to fight every kind of species before open war begins." Lex whistled low. "A trap that trains itself. That's new." Reyes clenched his jaw. "Any signs of who built it?" Vega hesitated. Then she brought up a symbol burned into the metal fragments found in multiple places. A simple curve with 3 dots. Not a known language, not a council symbol, not even human. "It's older than recorded galactic history," Vega said. "Carbon dating suggests it's millions of years old." "Ancients?" Sari asked. "Maybe," Vega replied, "but active." That made the room go quiet. Something ancient and still watching. It's not just leftovers of an old war. A hidden hand. Still pulling strings meanwhile, down on Soraya. Lyra stood at the rebuilt edge of the observatory, staring up at the now calm sky. She had seen the death machine die. She had seen the Deathworlders fight like storm gods. But what she couldn't shake was the idea that something else had been watching them, not just from orbit, but through the machine. And she was right. In the far reaches of uncharted space, somewhere beyond the mapped stars, a chamber of shadows came alive. Tall, cloaked beings, thin and strange, stood around a spherical display. "Watching the final moments of Soraya's defense, the Deathworlders survived," said one. "They destroyed Node 14, said another. "They are not council," a third hissed. They are something else. Unbound. Unpredictable. The sphere zoomed in on Reyes, leading the charge. Observe. This one. The sphere projected fragments of human language, combat patterns, brainwave responses. Earth's tactics were being studied, every decision analyzed, every act of violence calculated. They do not run, the first voice said. They attack, even in traps. We must adapt, said another, or we risk exposure. Then the display shut off, and the ancient beings turned to another map, one with dozens of planets marked in red. Prepare the next signals, the leader said, before the Deathworlders trace us back, because now, for the first time in generations, the old enemy had stirred something dangerous, human curiosity, and worse, human wrath. Back on Earth's fleet, Reyes stared at the fragments of code from the enemy machine. Can we trace the source? Barely, Vega said. They use directional burst routing like digital smoke signals. But we have a few guesses. Based on the star patterns, the next likely target is a colony called Drelos 4. It's isolated, peaceful, and just sent out a minor distress ping, almost as if it was waiting for a reply. A test, Reyes said, to see if we take the bait again. He turned to his crew. Well, let's disappoint them. Lyra arrived at the Blackthorn just before launch. She had made her choice. She didn't want to hide in underground cities anymore. She didn't want to be protected by someone else's fire. I want to go with you, she said. I know the language of these signals. I've seen them now. I can help you find the others. Reyes looked at her carefully, then nodded. You're not a soldier, he said. She lifted her chin. No, but I'm not helpless either. As the Deathworlder fleet prepared to launch again, a quiet pulse echoed in deep space's signal of warning. Not help. Earth had heard it, and they were coming. Not to make friends, not to sign treaties, but to track down the ones who thought the galaxy belonged only to the powerful, because now Earth was awake, and when the Deathworlders wake up, the stars themselves start to tremble. Drelos 4 was quiet to quiet. From orbit, the planet looked beautiful. It had blue oceans, green continents, and golden skies lit by 2 suns. It was a farming colony, small and peaceful, with only a few 100,000 settlers from dozens of species. No war, no politics. Just trade, crops, and rest. A dream. But when the Blackthorn dropped out of FTL near its upper orbit, Commander Reyes saw something that froze the bridge crew for a moment. There were no transmissions, no local traffic, no surface scans returning from major cities, no heat, signatures, no movement. It's just a silent world, as if someone had pressed mute on life itself. Reyes stood still, eyes on the data feed. They're gone, Vega said from the sensor console, voice low. All of them. No civilians, no wreckage, no power, no signs of violence either. Just erased. Timeline, Reyes asked. 2 days ago, she replied. Rough estimate. Sorry, tapped a flashing icon.
We just picked up a low level.
Ping from the southern hemisphere. Same frequency the Kari distress signal used. Same structure. A signal, another one. The trap had already been sprung and no one survived. Reyes turned from the screen and spoke in a tone that chilled even his veteran crew. Deploy recon teams. Full armor, full caution. Whatever did this might still be here. An hour later, Earth's boots touched down on Drelos 4. The landscape was still perfect. Crops still waved in the breeze. Artificial sunlight still warmed the sky. But every home, every settlement, every cum tower was empty. Not destroyed, vacant. Furniture remained. Meals half-eaten, doors left open. It looked like a planet where time had suddenly paused. Juno Vega walked through an empty child's school. Toy floated in zero gravity, spinning in the air. Her scanner beeped with strange readings, trace quantum interference, like something had blinked in and out of existence. She turned on her mic. Commander, we've found what's left of them, Bodes Reyes asked. No, she said. Not Bodes. shadows. On the wall of the classroom, burned into the material like a photographic flash, were the faint outlines of living beings caught in the exact moment they had stood. Walked, talked. Lex arrived at another Satan outdoor marketplace. Same thing. No damage, no decay. But outlines of people frozen into stone, glass, and metal. As if their energy had been stolen. As if the planet had been harvested, they weren't killed, Vega said softly. They were taken. Back on the Blackthorn, Sari ran every known data filter through the planetary scan results. It wasn't like a virus, or a weapon, or even a teleportation beam. The traces were older, weirder. It was more like a tear had been opened in reality and something reached through. Reyes stood over her shoulder. A portal, maybe Sari said. But not for travel, for extraction. Like fishing lines pulling something out of the ocean. And the bait? Reyes asked. That ping we found? The signal left behind? She brought it up on the screen. It was faint, almost fading now, but not natural. Someone left it there. On purpose? To call someone else? Reyes asked. No, Sari said, looking at him with dread. To call us. They'd been led here. Again, but why leave no wreckage? Why not destroy the colony completely? Unless this is a message. Reyes muttered. Not just bait. On the far side of the planet, the recon team found a central data core still powered. Lyra, now part of the away team, connected the Kari signal decoder to the main terminal lines of unknown symbols. Scrolled across the screen black on red dot. Then one phrase translated fully. We see how you answer. Another. Now see what happens when we answer back. And then a countdown appeared. 004, 5900, 458. It's a trigger, Vega shouted. They left it on purpose. Pull out, Reyes barked over. Comes everyone? Back to the ships now. But it was too late. The air around the recon site shimmered, not with fire, but with void. A swirling tear opened in the ground. Dark. Purple and pulsing with impossible gravity. Not a black hole, not a weapon. Something else entirely. Something alive. Twisted space. And from it came a shape, tall, thin, armored in smooth glass-like plates. It had no face. No limbs, really. But it moved like a thought. Fast, eh? Blur. Earth's troopers opened fire. The thing absorbed the rounds like sand swallows rain. Then it struck. One soldier disappeared. No scream. No blast. Just gone. Another fired a railgun, and the thing dodged. With perfect timing, then retaliated by shattering the gun with a wave of sound. Lex shouted, This isn't a drone. This is a hunter. Reyes and Vega reached the edge of the clearing as the creature reared back, but Lyra stepped forward. Holding out the signal crystal, the creature paused. Then tilted it knew her. It recognized her signal. The crystal flashed. The creature's body lit up like a flare, and then it vanished in a blast of static. Gone, just like that. The tear in space closed behind it. Everyone stood frozen. Reyes looked at Lyra. What did you just do? She stared at the crystal in her hand, which now smoked faintly. I think I just told it we're not prey. Back in orbit, Reyes called a full retreat from Drellis 4. There was nothing left to save. But now they had proof. The ones who built the traps weren't. Machines. They were alive. They were watching, and now they were starting to hunt back. Reyes stood in the dark of the command room, arms crossed. They called us again. We answered. He turned to Vega. How long until they stop testing and start attacking? Vega didn't answer, but her face said everything. Not long at all. Because now Earth had crossed a line. The ancient architects of the trap worlds knew something terrifying. Deathworlders. Don't retreat. They reload. The Deathworlders had taken the bait twice. The first time, they survived. The second time, they saw the trap for what it was. And now came the third moment, the moment Earth stopped following the enemy's signals, started sending one. Back. Commander Reyes stood in the Blackthorn's war room, surrounded by hollow-lit projections of star systems, decoded alien symbols, and biological data from the creature they had fought on Drellis 4. His face was hard, focused, and colder than steel. The enemy hadn't just attacked colonies, it had used cries for help to pull out heroes, to study the strong, to consume the brave. "We're done playing defense," Reyes said. "We trace them now, we find them, and we hit back." Vega, Lyra, and the rest of the core team stood around him. Silence hung in the air until Sari spoke. "We cracked part of the signal protocol. That last Tirtha when the creature came through it wasn't random. It followed a path. A signal beam sent through something like a folded space line. I traced the origin vector. A red dot blinked on the star map. Far beyond the councils. Reach a dead zone. Place with no trade, no ships, no maps." Lyra's eyes widened. The fracture expanse. Sari nodded. "That's where the enemy is sending its signal replies. And there's something there. Big. Constant energy surge. Old tech. Very old." Reyes didn't hesitate. Set course. Launch in 12 hours. The Blackthorn tore across space like a spear thrown by vengeance. Gunships flanked it. Drones scouted ahead. This was no relief mission. It was a strike operation. Earth wasn't answering a call this time. Earth was knocking on their door. When they emerged from FTL, they found it. Not a fleet. Not a planet. A structure larger than moons, orbiting nothing. Black. Angular. Floating in the middle of a scar. In space, where stars bent the wrong way and gravity rippled without reason, it wasn't built to be seen, it was built to listen. To hunt, Vega scanned its surface. No visible weapons. But there are vents, access points, inner systems. It's not just a station, it's a biological relay. Sari nodded. It breathes. It absorbs signals, processes them, and feeds something inside, and we feed it something back. Reyes said. They launched the boarding teams. The Deathworlders punched through the outer shell with diamond-tipped drillers and entered. The structure like blood entering a vein. Inside, it was dark, silent but alive. The walls pulsed faintly with warmth. Strange symbols shifted like thought patterns across the panels. Juno Vega spoke quietly. I don't think this place was built by machines. I think it is a machine. Living, growing. Reyes swept the hallway with his rifle. Let's give it indigestion. They reached the core chamber after an hour of cautious movement. There, they found it. A giant, crystalline, brain-like structure floated in zero gravity, wrapped in metal nerves and glowing fibers. Beneath it lay thousands of signal crystals, each one recorded, amplified, and categorized. Earth's signal was among them. Lex stepped forward, eyes scanning the shelves. All these cries, these are real. They've been collecting suffering. Lyra touched one crystal gently. It glowed and played a brief, horrifying message, screams, begging. Static then. Another. A different voice. And another. Hundreds. Thousands, I think. Lyra whispered. They use emotion as a power source. Reyes's jaw tightened. So they don't just harvest lives, they harvest fear. And then something moved. The wall at the far end of the chamber shifted, pulling back with a liquid hiss. A new figure stepped through. Not a drone, not a shadow. A builder, tall, long-limbed, wrapped in layers of pale armor that looked grown, not forged. It didn't carry weapons. It didn't speak aloud. But the moment it looked at them, the voice hit their minds like pressure. You were not meant to follow. You were meant to fear. Reyes raised his rifle. We're not good at following rules. The builder stepped closer. We designed the signals to break you, to make you destroy yourselves. Most species do. You did not. You resist. You fight. You burn. And now we must study the fire. Reyes didn't wait. He fired. The round struck the builder and exploded, but instead of falling, the thing turned into light, reshaping, splitting into 3 glowing copies. Each one moved with speed, faster than any eye could track. Lex shouted, "Split and strike." The chamber became chaos. But Vega wasn't aiming to fight forever. She had a plan. She pulled the override crystal from her pack, the one salvaged from Drellis 4. She plugged it into the control slot in the signal matrix. A loud, shrill sound blasted through the structure. The builder clones froze. Lyra screamed and dropped to her knees. It's not just sound, it's memory. Every signal. Every cry, all at once. Vega gritted her teeth, returning their weapon against them. The structure began to fracture. Cracks spread through the walls. The core started pulsing out of rhythm. One of the builder clones shattered, dissolving into static. Reyes shouted, "Everyone out!" Now, they ran as the Deathworlders escaped. Into the extraction shuttles, the station behind them began to implode and explode. Not collapse, but fold, like a bad thought being erased. The cries stored inside were no longer energy. They were rage, and they were fighting back. Back aboard the Blackthorn, Reyes stood in the observation deck as the structure disappeared in a final blast of light. One down, Lex said beside him. Vega looked at the screen. There'll be more. Lyra held up the signal crystal, now dark, silent. But now they know we're not just answering calls anymore. We're hunting them. Reyes nodded slowly. And we won't stop. First counterattack had worked, and now the Deathworlders weren't just survivors. They were a force of reckoning. It started with silence. The kind of silence that crept across systems like a shadow. Leaving broken signals and cold stars behind, the Council worlds didn't hear Earth go quiet, they felt it. A dozen systems lost contact. Not because they were attacked, but because they chose to stop listening. The Deathworlders had vanished from the open channels, and that terrified everyone. On the bridge of the Blackthorn, Reyes stared at the encrypted transmissions. One by one, Council factions were turning against Earth, not with weapons, but with words. Rumors, fake evidence, edited messages. The builders had released a wave of psychological warfare across the galaxy. Earth destroyed. Peaceful outposts, Deathworlders, are harvesting alien tech. Lyra is a spy seeded by an ancient race. Humanity is the threat. Sari slammed her fist into the console. They're not just feeding fear now. They're weaponizing it. Vega studied the signal patterns. They've embedded mind scripts into their messages. Subtle manipulations. Nothing you'd notice unless you're trained, but enough to make people doubt, distrust, act irrationally. Didn't flinch. "We've been here before," he said. "On Earth, we called it propaganda, mind wars, disinformation." Lex smirked. "What did humans do back then?" Reyes turned. "We hit back harder." The mission was simple now. Stop hiding. Strike the source. The Blackthorn. Launched into deep space with a fleet of Deathworlder ships following behind. No more shadow work. No more bait and traps. This time, they were going to end the signal. The true origin, the central nexus. Where the builders were born, they called it Nexus Void. A dead region beyond any charted stars. No light, no time, just gravitational madness. And in its heart floated the source world, a colossal structure wrapped around a black hole, feeding on entropy, thought, and fear. Reyes stood at the viewport. No one's ever returned from this. Place Lyra stood beside him. Then we'll be the first. The battle began before they even arrived. Wormholes opened like wounds in space, and the builders came through. Not just hunters now, but war forms. Massive, evolving, weapons formed of data and gravity. Fused with the stolen screams of other species, Earth's fleet didn't retreat. It formed a wall. Gunships spun in coordinated dance. Railguns roared. Pulse blasts tore apart void forms. Drones overloaded wormholes. Humaneas sacrificed themselves to shut down portals. And in the center of it all, the Blackthorn pierced through like a spear aimed straight at the enemy's heart. Inside Nexus Void, the core wasn't machinery. It was a brain, not flesh, not metal. But quantum information bound to ancient code. A galaxy-spanning intelligence made of suffering, memory, and hunger. It had no name. But it knew Earth now. You should not exist. It spoke into their minds. You answer suffering with rage. You spread chaos instead of surrender. You are not useful. Rhea stepped forward inside the core chamber, helmet off, pulse rifle pointed at the central node. We're not useful, he said. We're dangerous. He fired. The crystal brain screamed not in pain, but in fear. Lyra activated the final sequence the code Earth had built from every signal, every encounter, every death. They fed it back into the system. The builders tried to resist, but the truth was already inside them. Deathworlders don't just survive fear, they burn it down. The collapse was fast, like a virus consuming its host. The signal structure folded in on itself. Builder minds imploded, their memories shattered. Their connections frayed. Across the galaxy, traps died, signals cut, creatures froze in place. The Deathworlders didn't destroy a species, they destroyed a system. Weeks later, the galaxy awoke. 2 quiet skies. The council reconvened, slowly, cautiously. But this time, when Earth spoke, no one interrupted. Rhea stood before the assembly, flanked by Lyra and Vega. We didn't come to take your worlds. Came because someone asked for help, again and again, and we answered every time. He looked across the chamber, and we'll do it again, not because we want war, but because the galaxy needs someone who doesn't flinch when it gets dark. On Soraya, the sky was blue again. Lyra stood in the rebuilt observatory staring. At the stars, the signal crystal, now silent, rested in her hand. The last signal had been sent, but the galaxy would. Remember the answer? Not just ships, not just soldiers, but Deathworlders, the ones who rise when everyone else falls.